We have all seen this. A man, strong in body and will, who spent his life training for a perfect moment. Every drop of sweat, every scar, every lesson was for a day when he'd finally be ready, when all the stars would align. But the day never came. Instead, he found himself older, bitter, and burdened by regret. That man isn't a Spartan warrior. That man is you, sitting on the sidelines waiting for life to begin. How often do you tell yourself, "I'll start tomorrow"? Maybe it's the project you've dreamed about since you were a boy, the skill you always wanted to master, or the relationship you swore you'd fix. Tomorrow comes, and the excuses roll in. It's not the right time. I'm not ready. I'll be happy once I've reached this goal or solved that problem. Here's the brutal truth. Tomorrow doesn't exist. Life isn't a training montage where you skip to the part where you're suddenly perfect. Life is messy, unpredictable, and chaotic, and that's exactly where its beauty lies. The longer you wait for perfection, the more you squander your potential, your joy, and your time. The myth of completion, the finish line that doesn't exist. You've been lied to. Somewhere along the way, you were sold a fantasy. Work hard enough, and you'll eventually reach a point of rest and fulfillment. But life doesn't work that way. It's a moving river, not a stagnant pond. There's no finish line where everything suddenly makes sense. No trophy waiting for you at the end of some imaginary timeline. Spartan warriors didn't fight because they thought one battle would bring eternal peace. They fought because struggle was life, and life was struggle. It's the same with your dreams. You won't arrive at success or happiness. You must create it in the middle of the fight. That's why dedicating at least 1 hour a day to something you love is non-negotiable. Not tomorrow. Not when you've saved enough money. Now think of your passions as a fire in the wilderness. If you wait too long to feed it, the flame dies. Every excuse, every later, is another gust of wind, snuffing out the warmth that keeps your soul alive. Your excuses are killing you. I don't have time. I have too many responsibilities. I can't afford to take risks. These are the lies you whisper to yourself to avoid the discomfort of starting. But here's the stoic truth. You control your actions, not your circumstances. Your financial limitations, your busy schedule, your perceived inadequacies. None of them matter as much as your willingness to act despite them. Picture a blacksmith forging a sword. The fire isn't perfect. The hammer's worn. The anvil wobbles on uneven ground. But the sword still takes shape because the blacksmith shows up and does the work. That's you. Your circumstances will never be ideal, but they don't have to be. What matters is that you swing the hammer. Relationships. Stop trying to fix what isn't broken. Let's talk about relationships, particularly with the feminine. Many of you approach love like it's a construction project, something to fix, refine, and perfect. You see your partner's quirks and flaws as obstacles, thinking, if only she'd change it, everything would be easier. But this mindset is poison. Stoicism teaches us to accept what we cannot control. Your partner isn't a broken object to repair. She's a storm to embrace. The feminine is inherently chaotic, emotional, and unpredictable. Trying to tame that is like trying to hold back the tide. It's not going to happen. Instead, learn to dance with the waves. Here's an example. Your partner is upset about something that seems trivial to you. Maybe she's venting about how you loaded the dishwasher, or how you forgot to text her back. Your instinct might be to argue, to defend yourself, to fix the situation. Don't. Instead, listen. Breathe. Laugh even. Say something like, "You're right. I'm the worst dishwasher loader of all time. What else am I terrible at?" Humor disarms. Love diffuses. Acceptance builds connection. The Stoic lesson here is to stop resisting the nature of things and instead align yourself with them. The result? Less stress, more intimacy, and a relationship that thrives. Creative discipline. Feed your soul or starve. What's the one thing you love doing but keep putting off? Writing, drawing, playing an instrument, building something with your hands. Whatever it is, neglecting it is slowly starving your soul. Spartans trained every day, not because they loved every second of it, but because they understood the power of discipline. It's the same with your creative passions. You might not always feel like practicing, but the act of showing up consistently is what transforms a hobby into a calling, and a calling into mastery. Think of it like planting a garden. At first, it's just dirt and seeds. You don't see results immediately, but every drop of water, every moment spent weeding, brings you closer to a harvest. Your creative discipline is the same. Even when you can't see the fruit, trust the process. The growth is happening beneath the surface, the chaos of life. Stop fighting. Life isn't a clean, linear path. It's more like a battlefield, a cacophony of noise, smoke, and unpredictability. Trying to make it neat and tidy is a losing game. Instead, learn to thrive in the chaos. Imagine walking through a dense, tangled forest. The path isn't clear. The thorns scratch at your skin, and the canopy blocks the sunlight. You have two choices: complain about the obstacles or embrace the journey. Pick up a stick and clear a path. Feel the sting of the thorns and keep moving forward. That's what it means to accept life's messiness. In practical terms, this might look like letting go of rigid expectations. Maybe your career isn't where you thought it would be, or your relationships don't look like the picture-perfect ideal you imagined. So what? Life isn't about meeting some arbitrary standard. It's about finding meaning in the struggle. Laugh at the absurdity. Sometimes the only sane response to life's chaos is laughter. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In other words, when life throws absurdity your way, find humor in it. Let's say you spill coffee on your shirt before a big meeting, your car won't start, and then it starts pouring rain. You can either let frustration consume you or laugh at the absurdity of it all. Imagine Zeus himself hurling coffee cups and rain clouds at you just to test your composure. Smile, shrug, and keep moving. That's Stoic resilience in action. Love is the answer, but not the way you think. The Stoics were big on love, not the romanticized fairy tale version, but a deeper, unconditional kind. They called it philanthropia, a love for humanity, flaws, and all. In your relationships, this means choosing to love your partner, not despite her imperfections, but because of them. Think about the jagged edges of a puzzle piece. At first, they seem rough, uneven, imperfect, but when you fit them together with the right piece, they create something whole. That's unexamined love. It's not about smoothing out the edges, but finding harmony in the contrast. The true definition of love is your involuntary reaction to virtue if you yourself are virtuous. But that is for another video. Every moment counts. Stop wasting time. Here's a hard pill to swallow. You're wasting more time than you realize. Scrolling mindlessly on your phone, binge-watching shows you don't even like, replaying conversations in your head that went nowhere. All of it is time you'll never get back. The Stoics had a phrase for this: memento mori. Remember, you will die. It's not meant to be morbid. It's meant to wake you up. Life is finite. Every second you spend waiting for the perfect moment is a second lost forever. So, what can you do? Start small. Dedicate 1 hour a day to something that matters. Your passions, your relationships, your growth. Guard that hour fiercely. It's your ticket to a life of meaning. The final lesson: act now. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it's this: stop waiting. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, the right circumstances, or someone else to give you permission. Start living fully, messily, courageously, now. Life is a battle, but it's a battle worth fighting. And the spoils, they're not found in some distant, imagined future. They're here, in the present moment, waiting for you to claim them. So pick up your sword, step onto the field, and fight for the life you want. Not tomorrow, not someday, today.